The Prime Minister returned to work today at number 10, more than 3 weeks after he was admitted to hospital with the effects of coronavirus. In a statement, he warned that the United Kingdom was at the moment of maximum risk, and he urged people not to lose patience with the lockdown. The priority, he said, was to prevent a second outbreak of the virus. Well, the latest figures show that there were 360 deaths reported in the UK in the past 24 hours, reflecting a steady fall since a peak in early April, and it brings the official total of deaths to 21,092. But that number is likely to be much higher once deaths in the community and in care homes in England and Northern Ireland are included. Let's go live to Westminster and our political editor, Laura Kuensberg.
Thanks, Hugh. Well, this whole journey is really without any parallel. The Prime Minister, having suffered from the disease himself, returned today to declare the first phase almost over and to start at least to try to set the tone for the second. But this virus, the effect on our economy, the effect on our politics is nothing familiar. There are nothing for the government to easily refer back to. There are still so many unknowns, even well over a month into all of this. And that's why caution is still very much at the top of the government's list. The lectern is kept for major moments. Boris Johnson ready to show he's back in residence. Not ready to say in detail what's coming next.
I want to thank you, the people of this country, for the sheer grit and guts you've shown and are continuing to show. If this virus were a physical assailant, an unexpected and invisible mugger, which I can tell you from personal experience it is, then this is the moment when we have begun together to wrestle it to the floor.
But the thinking in number 10 is that the virus is not yet down and out, and the risk of another more deadly outbreak outweighs immediate concerns over the economy.
I understand your impatience. I share your anxiety. And yes, I can see the long-term consequences of lockdown as clearly as anyone. And I want to get this economy moving as fast as I can, but I refuse to throw away all the effort and the sacrifice of the British people and to risk a second major outbreak and huge loss of life and the overwhelming of the NHS. And I ask you to contain your impatience.
Hold your nerve, perhaps, promising to explain openly the eventual way through, eventually.
And we simply cannot spell out now how fast or slow or even when those changes will be made, that these decisions will be taken with the maximum possible transparency. And I want to share all our working and our thinking, my thinking, with you, the British people. Together we will come through this all the faster, and the United Kingdom will emerge stronger than ever before.
A couple of weeks ago, we met the Rooks in Wolverhampton who'd almost been enjoying the sunshine of lockdown. But 35 days in, Lucy's eager to hear more.
We want to start hearing the conversation of what life might look like after lockdown. We're having those conversations every day up and down the country in our living rooms. And I think if the government think that to have that conversation with us might confuse us is a bit patronising. I think we need to have some hope.
We first met Hector Woodhouse.
This is the view from my office window.
Who lives on his own in Linlithgow nearly a month ago.
It can be a little bit depressing. Yeah, you do feel only a bit. Because your routine becomes completely different. But you've still got to try and keep a sense of humour. And by gosh, we're going to need that.
The lockdown might have saved lives, but it has a cost too, to well-being and the economy. A delicate balance.
There's a huge amount of goodwill invested by the public in this particular public health project, and I think it's in fairness to them that we should set out what all the options are for the lockdown and involve them in how the conclusion is reached. Once the public's fear of the virus diminishes, their fear of economic failure will overtake it.
As the Prime Minister, on very good fall.
If ministers and their scientists continue to see the pace of the disease slow, It's possible there could at least be a plan about the plan by the end of the week.
Are we past the peak, Professor Whitty?
Labour believes they must.
What we're seeing is lots of countries now setting out their plan for what happens next. And I don't want the United Kingdom to be behind the curve. So what I'm saying is set out the principles, let's debate them, and I hope we can all get behind them.
Thank you all very much.
The political could hardly be more personal for this number 10, but the whole country's recovery will lag behind the Prime Minister's own. If the disease continues to slow as government and scientists hope that it will, then it is possible that by the end of this week we will hear more from the Prime Minister about the kinds of ways in which the lockdown could be gradually lifted. Perhaps schools being able to open up again in some limited ways where children were able to keep their distance, maybe attending on different days, or how you could open up some more sectors of the economy, but again, only where it was safe for people to be able to keep their distance. I would stress two things though. The data that's being gathered by the government is changing day by day, and no final decisions have been made. And plans that are being talked about behind closed doors are therefore very much about the how, not necessarily the when, and being sketched out in pencil rather than being made final in ink.
Laura, many thanks again. Laura Kuenssberg there with the latest for us at Westminster. Well, the Chancellor has announced a new loan scheme for small businesses, which will be fully backed by the government. Businesses will be able to access up to £50,000 within as little as 24 hours. And the scheme was, in effect, devised after concerns were expressed about the slow pace of the existing rescue scheme to help firms get through the crisis. Our economics editor, Faisal Islam, has more details.
In an office in Leeds.
Good afternoon, you're through to HMRC. How can I help you?
Social distancing civil servants saving livelihoods. They're part of the team who, within a month, have started to pay the wages of 4 million British workers.
We've had more than 500,000 applications. We are paying out more than £4.5 billion worth of support to businesses, and we are managing to keep people employed.
The job scheme already extended by a month, the Chancellor has had to adopt the business loans element of his rescue package with another new scheme for small business micro loans.
Today we announced a brand new loan scheme for the smaller businesses. They will be able to get up to £50,000, a quarter of their revenue, very easily with a simple form, standardised, and hopefully have the money in their accounts within 24 hours.
So these bank loans are 100% backed by government, worth up to £50,000 and could be available within a day. And in the first year, no repayments are needed. That's badly needed at businesses such as In Water Flowers, where they aren't seeing green shoots.
We think many businesses in the hospitality sector, including ours, we need assurances and support well beyond this initial period. We're going to need support over the next 12 months and beyond. So how long a loss-making business can be sustained after the lockdowns being lifted is really the question.
As this coronavirus crisis endures, here at the heart of the Treasury, another rescue scheme for the economy, this time focused at getting cash as quickly as possible to the smallest of businesses. But the economic consequences look like lasting longer. The argument here, there is no simple trade-off between health and the economy.
The economy is going to take a significant hit in the short term. I've been very clear about that before, and that is going to have an impact on many jobs and many businesses.
And for those people saying, what economy is going to be there when some sort of normality returns? The numbers are so big, the hits are so big, we really need to move more quickly. What do you say to those people?
We absolutely need a thriving economy, not least because it provides people with their jobs, their incomes, and pays for our public services. But the best way in the long term to ensure that is to get control of the virus now. We've set out 5 tests that we have to meet before we can think about moving to phase 2. We're not there yet.
No contradiction here between rescuing lives and rescuing livelihoods. Faisal Islam, BBC News.